Hey everyone, Ivy League Gaming here, and today we're playing Dragonheir Silent Gods. For today's video, we're gonna do a bit of a hero guide on my favorite rare heroes so far, Eli. So I thought it was fitting to do a character guide, a hero guide, on my hero that's going to be my first level 90. Yes, I'm going to make a rare my first level 90. Not my adventurer, she'll be second probably, because I'm sure I'll use her in most cases, and I've actually decided I'm going to go Fire and Radiant next, so I do want to have her available as part of that team probably, because Fire does pump out some decent damage with her, but yeah, not my legendary, not my other legendary. Or some of my fun epics, we are going with Eli. And that might surprise a lot of people, but I really do appreciate the value of the rares. And I think that we all can't be lucky popping out Legos instantly, especially not in the first couple weeks of playing. We've got to really start getting those die from higher level events. So Eli here, he is a poison damage dealer. Poison. This type of hero is good at inflicting poison. Enemies inflicted with poison will lose their HP continuously. So this is one thing I think the game needs to change. We have poison as an element, poison and ice. The debuff for doing a debuff should not be called the same thing. It's like, oh, I have a poison hero. She's a poison hero, right? But she doesn't do the poison debuff. She doesn't do a poison debuff, so she's not a poison hero. Like, it's kind of confusing that the element and the type slash debuff are all called the same thing. I think it should be called toxic for the debuff. And that, because they would be like, oh, he's a poison, but he's also a poison elemental. So yeah, it's just too confusing. Or change the elemental term to toxic. I don't know, but they gotta change it because it's not every poison elemental damage dealer also does the poison debuff, right? All right, so let's get into it here. We have Eli, who has a captain aura, which is amazing in itself, especially depending on who I'm using. I might not even have one. He gives attack percentage in all battles. Now, it's not that crazy 30% that the necrotic character gives, but hey, it's pretty solid. I'll take it. It's a rare with a solid attack in all battles aura. I'm happy. Behind me here, we're going to get into his skills. They're going to pop out, so no worries. We have a passive. When dealing damage to enemies under poison, additionally deals derived poison damage. Now, like it says, derived damage is generated by a skill. Sorry. That's weird how the derived damage generated by a specific skill. It gains enlightenment bonus, but cannot trigger a critical hit. So derived damage, enlightenment, that's all described here. If you guys click over onto the substats, you can read the details. So enlightenment affects derivative damage or directly becomes the coefficient of some skills. Increases the hero's derivative damage by 49.8%. Derivative damage. Derived damage generated by a specific skill. Gains an enlightenment bonus but cannot trigger a critical hit. Alright, so I think, I could be wrong, it's hard to figure this all out because the tutorials don't really tell us these things too specifically, but like enlightenment seems like it's only good if you have a character that says they do derive damage, or someone like Hexandra whose heal is based on enlightenment. Otherwise, I don't think we need enlightenment on other people. I could be wrong. Please feel free to let me know in the comments if I am wrong so we can have that clarified, and I will put a little note in my description if I'm wrong about enlightenment. But it doesn't seem like we need enlightenment unless it specifically says the character deals derived damage. Does everyone deal derived damage? It doesn't sound like it because it says generated by a specific skill. So I think that's something to consider. So this is when enemies under poison, they get bonus damage, which cannot crit. So if you have him in a team with another poisoner, like our girl Notira, That's where you're going to benefit the most, unless he could keep up poison by himself 100% of the time. So let's continue through his skills and see if we think that's possible. All right, battle skill. Gains attack up for 5 seconds, then shoots a crossbow bolt at the enemy, dealing poison damage, with a 100% chance of inflicting 1 stack of poison for 15 seconds. See what I mean, though, with the confusion? Like, poison damage, poison. Like, change them. One thing be toxic. One thing be a word that's not poison. Hope this could change in the future. I really, really hope they do because, again, confusing. So a poison deals poison damage equal to 0.5% of the target's max HP. So this should do better on bosses or like high-level enemies. So this is a 100% chance to land it, but it does take 8 seconds to recharge. So, and it's only 1 stack. And, well, his ultimate doesn't deal it either. So if you want to get the best damage out of Eli, he cannot be the only character on your team that's placing a poison debuff. He's really gonna shine when you keep that poison on all of the enemies, and he can do his extra derivative damage. Just because something says 100% chance to land, there still is the reality of accuracy versus resistance, and I do think those roll of the dice chances of failures are affected here. So it's still, like, if he misses a debuff landing, I don't think I'd want to, you know, risk that. I feel like it's better to just ensure that there's always a poison debuff up on the target. Plus, this is only a single target poison attack that he's going to do once every 8 seconds. That means he might be able to put poison on 2 enemies, but not everybody. So you definitely would prefer to have poison on all enemies with someone that does like an AoE poison damage. I'm sure I could get a better one than Notira. She's fine for now, but I would love to get a better poisoner to go along with Eli. Because then when he hits with this arrow, it hits like a lot of enemies. So this extra 3 shoots 3 arrows in designated directions. It like fires a bunch of arrows. This is really great because then you can take advantage of his passive, and if the enemies are under poison, he's going to do bonus damage. But again, this is only a single target poison, so he's not going to keep it up on a mob situation, or he could just be attacking one target every time with his skill and be ignoring the boss, for example. So you definitely want to have more poisoners than him, right? I think that's pretty clear. Now, one thing about Eli here is, again, the enlightenment. So I actually went with a mixed build for attack and enlightenment with my Eli. So I have him with the mediator's pipe. This gives him extra enlightenment. And then down here, I actually have him with an enlightenment chest instead of an attack chest or attack percentage chest. That's something to think about. So here we also do have attack percentage gloves, but keep in mind flat attack gloves are okay up until you pass level 70. A lot of these actual flat stats versus like I was looking here, right? Flat attack. Okay, here we go. Minus 204. Okay, this one's minus 194. So yeah, he's level 86, so his base stats are higher. So it actually does really start to affect. We really want percentages, but when they're below level 70, it's the same or worse to do percentage. So that's just a big tip here that I want to give. If you're working on a lower level character, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, it's okay to use flat stats as your main stat. Don't immediately trash them. Don't go Raid Shadow Legends flat stats in the bin quite yet, because you're actually going to wish you kept those because you're losing out on damage. Now, of course, you could save those attack percentage items for when you get past level 70 and start using them to gear your heroes. Now, I'm patiently waiting to take the time to go grind because I need to grind other stuff right now, but I did have an event pop to go and farm this attack gear, right? So that's good, or this attack with enlightenment. This is going to be perfect for Eli. Even more enlightenment, even more attack percentage, and I'm excited to get more of this set. So I have a attack here for the sake of his positive rune. And then we'll have to see what we do for the negative rune when we unlock that, but we'll get there when we get there. But I really think that's something you should do. If you have characters that scale with enlightenment, that do derivative damage, experiment. Take off an attack chest, put on enlightenment. Take off enlightenment, put on the attack chest. Swap them out. See what works better for you. Test the damage and just see what seems to be more effective. Maybe that's going to change depending on other stuff. Or maybe having crit rate on him is more beneficial to get crits out of this skill and worry less about your passive and derivative damage. There's so many ways you can try to build these characters, but honestly, for me, it's just been really fun to see him really excel. And there's nothing more exciting than using my rares to knock out people in arena. Now, I can't lie, I've not always done the best in arena. Everyone's so much higher than me in levels, and yes, legendaries are definitely OP in this game. That is what it is. You don't need legendaries to clear content, but you definitely need legendaries to compete in the PvP side of things, that's for sure. Or else they just hit harder, their base stats are better, they have more unique skills, and it is what it is. But not to say I haven't taken out some legendary teams with my rares and my legendary team itself, right? I've definitely done so. Of course, I do have some higher level characters here, so we should have no trouble with this team, I hope. But I love Eli, and I love using him in all contents. I am so far behind. So many people already like got a full team of 80s or 90s, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta grind some experience. I think it would be really fun to go into guild boss, as I want to call it, clan boss, aka alliance boss, temporal vortex. Let's go into it. Let's fight Poseidon. This is a fun way to really showcase how much damage he can do, although really it is great to see him with AoE mobs as well. There's kind of no point for me to show him in everything. I just want to show you guys like the kind of damage he can actually output. So let's do a battle with Poseidon here. All right, so here we are. I do have my goblin tank healer in the front with my reviver healer right behind him to make sure she gets that heal, because she sacrifices her HP to go along with healing and reviving other people, so definitely want to help keep her alive and keep her well healed. He's going to be just here on the side. We only have a single target, so it's not really a big deal where everybody's positioned right now. But yeah, no legendaries again. We're going to go in and see how we do here. I have lots of room for improvement on this though. So I'm seeing people do 4 million. I think the highest I've done is like 1.5, 1.6. So let's see what we do now. Let's see what we do now. I wonder how high my poison stack. Okay, and there's a big debuff that I have put up there right now. You see that? Decrease defense penalty. There's only a couple ways to get that in this game, and I'll have to do a video talking about that. But having the decreased defense is going to be amazing, I really think, for adding some extra damage for the whole team. But alright, I'm gonna pop out the damage so you can see who's really doing the damage here, as expected, Eli. I actually just had run a goblin wave, and Eli wasn't the main damage dealer. It was actually my adventurer, which I was surprised of, but he's really going to shine here, I think, because we're going to keep that poison stack up on the one target the whole time pretty easily. Between him and Notira, they're both placing the poison debuff, and it's only one target to worry about, not multiple, so he's constantly going to be pumping out extra derived damage from his passive. This is really fun to see. We are smashing. No worries about staying alive yet. I think we're doing okay. I really want to get my healer reviver level 90 next, I think. Well, maybe third after my adventurer. Because she does need the highest base stats possible, I think, with how much she is always sacrificing her HP for her skills. Tend to not like characters that have to sacrifice to help, but she's so good it's worth it. I really like her. Go, go, go! It is really fun to see the damage just ramp up. We might have to pause and then come toward the end of this because this is going to be a pretty long battle, I think. So I'm going to pause and come in at the end when everything starts falling apart, and we'll look at the total damage. We did lose my healer a few hits ago. It was at like 1.8 million for losing my healer reviver. So that's definitely going to make things fall apart. But we do have the heals from the tank. But yeah, as you can see, not gonna last too much longer. But oh my goodness, 2 million? Can we hit 2 million? That'll be my first 2 million. Come on. Come on. Ah, Eli, the last one standing too. No, not quite 2 million. I am so happy with that. Almost 2 million damage with 2 rares in my team as the main DPS. Eli himself did almost 1 million damage. He did 941,000 damage. Nutira, less than half that. And my ice adventurer, even less than that. Almost 1 million damage from Eli himself, but that is help to keeping up that poison debuff, although we might not need Notira in this team. I really think he could do it himself given the situation. But Notira is the one that is allowing me to get a decreased defense because of that artifact. But that's a whole nother topic. Diving deep into this vortex is another topic as well. In the future, I could do a video. If you guys want me to do a more detailed video on the future about this team for this alliance boss, I can do that too, especially given my another no Legos team here that I'm still rocking and having a lot of fun with. But that was so much fun. I really love seeing Eli shine in this. Hope you guys appreciate this discussion around my main rare DPS, and I'll see you in the next video. I will also be live on Twitch today, Friday, and we will be doing summons, so come join me.